Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode in The Mouse Says the Butler Didn't Do It. Stories written by myself, Nico Scher, under my pen name of Cheryl Ann Butler. We are continuing in A New Hope Thanksgiving in chapter 64. You may be visited by several of the critters in the house. Mouse is grumbling in the background, who the channel is hers. She just got walked over by Maggie Lou, and she grumbles a lot at these guys, but she loves them dearly. In our last visit, Ghram, Emily, and Storm had gone to the doctor's for his examination, and then Storm had gone with his father to Destiny Cranberry's salon to have his hair done along with his father. In the process, Ghram started to explain to him, along with Destiny, about their background and how they came to meet and become best friends. Turns out it may be a little bit more than just best friends between Ghram and Destiny. So, onward we go, and we will see where this situation may lead to. Chapter 64. Ghram sat there blinking for a few moments. He gave a nod and began. Destiny had never been with anyone before. Remember, we were each other's cover. She was my beard, and I was her frock. She's still mine when I have to attend conventions. Yeah, crowds. Male crowds trigger the friggin' flashbacks. She can tell if I'm in distress. She's my witchy poo. Yes, part of the coven. She's got gifts, and if she has to, she puts on her. I want you to make love to me now. I can't wait. That's her act of the ditzy blonde, which I guarantee she ain't. Neither is Lily. And she'll lead me to our room. That's where I can decompress. She'll run a hot bath and light scented candles and put on soft music. After I'm done in the bath and lay in bed, she'll read to me until the stress is completely relieved. She's real special to me, Storm. I understand, Dad. I do. He pushed up his other sleeve to reveal her name, and his joined by a heart. There were no secrets between us. And anyway, this broad was pushing it. I came in from work. Lily also wasn't home as of yet. She was tutoring another foreign exchange student, and this chick, after things happened to me, for weeks before, she was pushing my buttons because of the court hearings in the papers. That was an ongoing situation with the continuation of the investigation. Destiny and Lily were by my side through it all, and this bitch, well, that's part of the other story. I'll get Destiny to help with. Truth be told, she was in college with us and had set her sights on my lady and my best friend. I hear Destiny crying, and Jet, as old as she was by this time, was in full-blown pissed-off cat mode, and she's pacing and literally stalking Destiny's door. We had never shut any of our doors in the apartment, much less locked them. Jet had free roam, and of course her litter pan was kept in the bathroom. She slept with me sometimes when Destiny was at work, or I'd find her curled up in Destiny's bed with her, and she loved to play with Lily. Lily would bring yarn for her as she was knitting or crocheting, and would leave bits and pieces for her or Jet. When other friends visited with Pam and Heth, they would bring over other things, little cat toys and stuff like that. Heth would bring over cotton balls for her to play with. Jet would greet me at the door when I came home as if to say, "Hey dude, waiting for you, where's my nip?" She was such a cool cat. This time, though, she was stalking, and I could feel the stress coming off of her. She was telling me, "Do something, dude. Our lady is in danger." This stitch is not a good one, and the old cat knew her girl was in trouble and came to me to do something, which I did. "What?" Storm leaned forward. Ghram took a deep breath and closed his eyes. When he opened them, he blinked away a tear. So I tapped on her door, and this broad screams at me, "This ain't none of your damn business, fag boy." I stepped back and moved Jet down the hall to a safe space. I hit the door with my shoulder, like Uncle Jim taught me, to go through the front line, and blew it off the hinges. I actually tore the door loose. And here comes the cat at a full arm run, and she's screaming like she's a banshee. Jet goes ripping in there. Oh shit, a pissed off cat in protect mode is not nice. Storm shook his head. They can become the Tasmanian devil or an Arkansas razorback. Damn right they can, and Jet is gunning for this broad. Remember, Jet was a New York City street cat. Storm blew out a breath. Ghram placed his right hand on his lower stomach and kind of winced, like an old memory caused pain. This broad grabbed a candle and goes to throw it at Jet. I went in front of her and took the blow just below my navel, and that's where one of my hernias had been. But when I hit the door, I put a hole in the wall. The three of us later fixed it, and I knocked all kinds of stuff off the wall in both the ladies' rooms. Long story short, when I got hit and Destiny realized she was aiming the candle at her Jet, and I took the hit to protect her old girl, she friggin' freaked. Her Italian temper went apeshit. I can just imagine what an Irish and Italian temper is like, Dad. And her love for that cat, I would not want to step in front of her. Storm shook his head. You got it, kiddo. I mean, she went apeshit. I got my wind and made a lunge for that bitch, as blonde hair is all over the place and in my mouth, and fists are flying. I mean, I had to duck several roundhouse blows and a right that would have given me a haircut at the shoulder. She would have busted my jaw if Destiny had connected. As it was, my lady connected with this dyke's face and several blows to the body. Then she was shoved back onto the bed, and this broad jumps on top of her. Jet took flight, landing on her on her back, and sunk her teeth into her neck. And she's clawing her for all she's worth, tangled in her hair. She grabbed Jet and threw her against the wall, and I made the second lunge to yank her off of Destiny came up swinging after hearing the pain in Jet's scream. I got slammed into the wall as Des nailed this broad and I ducked to clear the next swing coming at me from this bitch. Destiny put her fist through the wall and actually got it stuck. I told her to stay put and gave Jet a quick, keep her ass there. Watch your mistress, please. And this piece of shit is out of there in 2 minutes flat. Buck-ass naked, and she lands in a snowbank ass first, with her clothes thrown halfway down the pavement. I balled them up and pulled a Jaws or a Polish cannon, and them bitches were hurled, and I slammed and locked the door. First snow of December was a real nasty nor'easter, and it was coming in for us. Storm busted out laughing. Was Miss Destiny's hand okay? I was scared to death that she'd broken her hand, or at least a finger or two, and when I got back into the room, she's still standing there with her fist in the wall and calmly petting Jet as the cat sat on her desk. Check her, then get me loose, was what she told me. I followed orders. Jet was bruised and a little tender from bouncing off the wall at her age, but obviously okay. We had to break the sheetrock to get Destiny's hand loose, as it had swollen that much in such a quick period of time. Then things happened, and I started to shake. At that point, Lily walked in and got me to sit on Destiny's bed to get me to calm down. She told us about the buck-naked broad that was picked up by the cops as she drove into the parking lot. But as we laughed and told her what had happened, there I am thinking to me, what was I going to do with Destiny now? Don't you know it? That's when, then and there, the freaking power goes out as we're trying to get her loose. And Jet won't leave any of us be. She's worried about both of us. And Lily is trying to calm the three of us down. And she's pushing me closer to her. The cat. Jet kept shoving me closer to Destiny. We finally get her hand loose, and I go to get ice and make up a pack to take the swelling down, and Jet screaming at me and headbutting me towards Destiny's bedroom, and she's screaming in Destiny's face to pay attention when we get there. Lily makes a quick exit and calls. It's about time you two listen to Jet. She knows what she's doing. It's obviously you two are too much of a dingbat to do so. Good girl, Jet. And if they give you a hard time, well, sweet kitty, you got teeth and claws. Use them. You know how. We spent part of the night talking as we lit scented candles, and she used to give us light. And we're going over Jet head to toe and made a call to Rain to take her to him as soon as the blizzard was over. Holy crap! She put her hand through a wall, and she's worried about the cat being okay. She's Italian and Irish, remember? Ghram smiled. Lucky for that bitch, Jet was a tough old New York City street cat. She was okay. Pissed off, but okay. If she wasn't, Destiny would have gone apeshit again and hunted her down. Destiny asked if I would lay with her, just to let her hold me, if I would be her teddy bear. She needed to be comforted. She felt she made a mistake and hurt me and her Jet. She wasn't worried about herself, but bringing this date home had put us in danger. She was upset for me and her Jet, not herself, and worried about me, that it would trigger flashbacks and bad memories, or a freeze frame situation. I was still recovering from some of the old internal injuries, including the hernia, which I had just been hit in the area of with the candle. Not for sexual or really physical, but me slamming into the wall with that broad's weight against me and the brawl. Yeah, I had got hit in the ribs a couple of times and got hammered into the wall. She was scared I may have hurt my ribs, back, or hip again. My ribs still give me problems every now and then, and my right hip can lock up. I got the start of arthritis in the damn thing because it was dislocated, and from the cold, I had ice crystals in my lungs when Jim and Coda found me. Dad, does it still affect you like that? Sometimes. Ghram held up a hand and looked over his shoulder to see where she was. Pneumonia issues. So it hits once in a while, and I get some back problems. In high school, I didn't take gym. Too much of a risk of injury. I had a medical excuse. I wore turtlenecks and in warm weather, wife beaters, if I could, until my beard filled in. I get you working out with us. You'll see. I'm not bragging, but thanks to the guys, I got some size to me from weight training. They ain't the guns Uncle Izzy's got, but I was showing some impressive muscles in my arms, abs, and pecs back then. Destiny asked if she could look at my scars. I would never let her see them in high school. She thought she may have body lotion that might help with the skin irritation. She knew I dealt with those issues where the scars, the ridges and things like that, could catch my shirts and things. Weren't you afraid it might trigger a bad memory on top of what had just happened? Scared shitless, Ghram nodded. And at first it did, but she needed to take care of me and Jet more than I needed the taking care of. Does that make sense? She needed to calm herself down, you mean, and get her back onto track. Yeah, so taking care of you and her kitty gave her a chance to regroup and get things back in the shoebox, so to speak, or figure things out as to where she needed to go and keep herself safe and straight. You two were her focus, so it gave her what she needed. Very well put, son. She talked to me and kept me calm, thereby calming herself. She never hurt me or made fun of me, or when we had to kiss, like at a dance, or if we were out someplace and someone spotted us and we had to pretend. Well, part of me never did with her. I gave it my all for her. She would always whisper, "I'm going to kiss you," or "I'm coming in for a landing." She'd play with my hair and help to calm me, and it was always gentle. This went on from high school through college, and she still does it to this day. So I admit I was scared. She said she'd be right back. She returned seconds later with several ointments. She explained I only needed to take off my shirt. I was okay with that in front of her. She didn't flinch when she saw the scarring or say anything about how bad they were, and they were worse back then. Throughout the night, she was very gentle, like she always was with me, and also didn't pity me. She got pissed and had a few Italian-laced words I won't repeat, only because I'd screw up the pronunciation. Storm smiled. I could imagine those words, Dad. He chewed on his lower lip and smiled. Damn right, they were the nastiest I had ever heard. That night, she invited me into her room and gave me a light massage to relax me and more creams on the scars. We were snowed in for a week, the three of us plus Jet. I couldn't move the Porsche. She was under a pile of snow that was over her roof, and Destiny's Ford, a four-wheel drive that she still has, was buried over the bumper thanks to the guy that plowed the parking lot. Lily had a scooter. Needless to say, that wasn't going anywhere. Nobody was moving in Princeton. The snowstorm was that bad. By the end of the week, we turned my room into the study area, actually, so that the three of us could use it. Lily was perfectly fine with it, and her room became ours and Jet's, Destiny's and mine. And, of course, Jet was always welcome in Lily's room anytime she wanted. Cool, very cool. Storm smiled and gave a nod. Ghram shook his head. That cat gave her the lecture of a lifetime. For the entirety of the week we were snowed in, and then some. There would never be any dates ever brought back to the apartment by any of us, unless, in her opinion, it was over her little furry, very dead body. She had put a paw down, and that was it. We were allowed to have friends, Errol, Flynn, Iz, Becky and Tip, half Pam. She had some really nice lady friends, as did Lily, and some guy friends as well. Karen, Betta, and Amir, who would stop over and talk about books or have a craft day. Kevin, Kyle, and Robin, who are Amir's twin brother. They'd pop in for football and baseball games. We still had the quilting circle between them and Flynn and Errol's sister, and the guys still stop over for Sunday football to help with the inn. And, of course, family, which only had her approval, but no dates. And she meant it. She would meet whoever at the doorway, and if it was a no-go, she growled. We listened. It also never happened with friends and family who would stop over. Except for one time, before Iz got the balls to ask Flea to marry him. He had dated one woman. Jet would not let her in the apartment and stood there actually showing her teeth and flexing her front claws. Oh man, I bet that was unexpected and probably very impressive. It was. A week later, Iz informed us she was cheating on him with an old college friend. Jet nailed her on it. When he brought Flea over, she kept pushing Jet's hand, and when he'd go to pet her, she'd climb into Flea's lap as if to say, "You big dummy, hold the lady's hand, and I'll lay down on your lap." It took a while, and she had to get in his grill and literally smacked him in the nose. But he got the message, and when they married, he carried Jet down the aisle, and she was their matchmaker. The wedding bands were attached to a ribbon on her collar. The two of them laughed together. I could just see that, as big as Uncle is. He pushed himself up in the seat. For a full 2 weeks, we still had no power. Ghram shrugged. It was a nightmare. No heat, and the water was frozen. But a lot of blankets, an icebox full of soda, juice, and barrels of snow we filled kept us going. The cabinets were filled with decent food. I broke out my old camp stove. We froze our asses off cooking on the porch, but we ate well. So did Jet, who was then 16 years old. We froze our asses off, like I said, and curled up under all of the blankets. I could now sleep in my fitted boxers, and she in her undies and one of my tees. She and Jet had swiped several of my T-shirts. Jetty had one in her bed and another in her wicker hideaway. One she even drug around the apartment like it was one of her kittens or a best friend. New Year's Eve we stayed in, and I was, for the first time, okay sleeping naked. She did the same, and we held each other. He paused and closed his eyes for a brief second. Dad, you okay? Just remembering. They were some good times in high school and our hideaway in college. Chapter 65. When Ghram opened them, they sparkled as he smiled at Storm. Dad, are you two? Ghram held up a hand. Wait. Okay. By Valentine's Day, I was okay with her exploring my body, and that day I decided if she wanted me to, I would do my best to try to please her in our bed. He glanced over his shoulder to see that she was busy talking to Aunt Lottie. You romanced her, you mean, Dad? I brought her and Lily flowers from Auntie Liliana and Coco Chanel and a large box of her and Uncle Jackson's youngest daughter, Montegre's handmade chocolates from her newly opened candy shop. The flowers for Lily was to thank her for her assistance. I purchased a barrel of Temptations for Jetty, and a catnip mouse and peekaboo tuna can bed. I couldn't forget her on Valentine's Day, and I picked up what I was going to make for a special dinner. Yeah, I've learned a thing or two from Dad. I can cook. While I made dinner, we three talked more. Lily took her plate into her room to give us privacy and took Jet with her. We spoke more intimately than normal and laughed at Jet's antics with her mouse and figuring out her bed as she sneaked her way out of Lily's room. She scared the shit out of me when she told me she was still a virgin, which, in my own thinking, I was dead in the water, terrified of hurting her. I didn't know if I could handle seeing her bleed or her blood on me, and then I didn't want the flashbacks and memories of the shit from all those years ago. Then again, what if I sucked as a male and making love to her female? I didn't know what my reaction would be in either way. Worse yet, what if I had a panic attack and pulled a freeze frame in the middle of everything? But we talked. We laid every possibility out, even every scenario that could have possibly happened, and how we would handle it. And we started out slow. It turned out to be wonderful. We fell asleep in each other's arms that night while Jet was laying on her pillow at the top of our heads with her mouse and one of my teas. We were in the arms of each other and our best friend. So, Dad, she is your lady, right? Your best friend and your lover? Ghram nodded. On Valentine's Day each year, she and I rekindle that night. But that's it. It's at my house because she lives over the salon here, and jingle and jangle. They rule the roost like Xavier and Charo rule in here. Jetty passed away at the age of 27 only a few months ago, and she adopted them two from Kimmy and Ollie in memory and in honor of the love of her old streetwise cat. They're two Siamese Himalayan mixes that Uncle Rain says are what's called ragdolls. They're litter mates, and they kind of have an issue with males. All males. It's not just me. Something happened in their little world. They're working on it. I can at least now have them sit near me, but if I'm trusted enough for them to rub or brush against me, and they will, very cautiously, they take a treat from my hand, but I can't make a fast move or gesture, or they will take off and hide for several hours. I'm still not allowed to touch. Some fucked up male ass did something to them, and it's going to take them a long while to trust any male figure. I get that because of what I've been through. I'm willing to wait and accept their offerings of brushes, nudges, and head bonks. That means they're learning I won't hurt them, and they're beginning to trust me. I can wait for the day, with luck, when one or both may be interested and climb into my lap. That would be cool. That sucks. For them and for you. Sorry, Dad. I've read about the ragdolls. Kimmy's talked to me about them because of her working with all kinds of the cats. They are so loving, and to have someone cause them to not be able to enjoy the touch of someone because some ass did something. Sorry for them, and I'm sorry for you. That kiddo isn't the only problem with the place. We had to dig it out from under the garbage and rubble that was stuffed in there when we purchased the building, and discovered that we were told wrong by the former owner, as was the real estate agent. We were told it was a full floor. It's not. So we did manage to get some money back on the deal. That leads to the other situation, and that is, it's a studio with a sloped ceiling, and the center point of the ceiling is less than 5.5 feet in height. So I have to hunch, as does she. Not good for a back with old injuries, and it's real freaking tiny. Dad, I'm taller than 5.5 feet. Was it built for someone like Mickey's size? Possibly. He squeezed his forefinger and thumb together. Less than 400 square feet is the size of that place. It consists of a very tiny kitchen. Her fridge is a bar fridge, 2-burner stovetop, and a toaster oven. The water heater is only 7 gallons under her kitchen sink, and is for both the kitchen and the bath, which the bath is a commode, sink, and a shower stall that is part of the bathroom floor. You have to duck to wash your hair under the shower head, and her living room / bedroom. It's a fiasco in itself, and Jingle and Jangle have issues with the fact that there are no windows for them to watch birds. Jetty was the queen of the salon. She'd come down every morning with Destiny so she could visit, and she'd greet people at the counter and the window seat over there. He pointed to it. We specially built that for her so she could watch the birds and squirrels in the maple, sycamore, oak, and the dogwood. They were planted for her in the garden for her picnics when she was in her harness, and we would have a spring lunch. But the kittens can't handle male company. They freak. So what Jet enjoyed is out of the question for them right now. But we're still trying to work on it. Oh, Dad, that's the memorial stone that's in the garden then, with Jet's name and her dates. Storm sniffled and cleared his throat. Yes, you okay? The teen nodded. Just thinking about Beastly. I need to do something. I don't know what, but I got to. He repeatedly blinked. His father made a face. We'll do something over the weekend. But I'll tell you, I've cracked my skull so many times I've lost count up there, and so has she. The living area consists of a queen-size futon, one end table, and a closet that has a 2-drawer plastic cabinet for a dresser, a plastic shelf for her DVD VHS combo, and a projector on a macrame table hung from the ceiling to focus on a white-tipped twin-size sheet that rolls down from the ceiling over the electric fireplace heater. If Destiny isn't careful, or I forget, and one of us sits up straight while we're watching a movie, we whack the sucker and put it out of focus with our heads. And the kitties have their tower and tree along a wall, and she has walkways for them with things for them to bat at hanging from the sloped walls and ceilings. We both got entangled in them. 400 square feet. Dad, my bathroom in the presidential suite of the inn is bigger than that. Why don't you get her to move in with you? You got room, right? And she could take the cats and even the birds. Now you know the secret about your old man, and this is a secret that no one else in the family knows. And yes, I've been trying. She's stubborn. Stubborn as a damn mule. She says I'm good. I don't believe that. No man should let his ego get out of control in a romance, so he develops a big head. But making her happy makes me happy, and I am in love with her. But I don't know how to explain it. She's special. She has my heart because she understands. On that night, once a year, I become her man, her lover. I can please this beautiful lady the way God, the Creator, Diana, and Lucifer, whoever intended me to be with a true lady. And she gets it. That, yes, I am gay, and a guy will turn my head, but I'm scared to death to be with any guy because of what happened, and that I'll never allow myself to trust a partner of the same sex. She lets me be me and love her the way I can. That kiddo is why I love her, and she will always have my heart. Ghram gave a slow nod. Thank you, Dad. I'll keep it a secret. He winked at him. He looked at the mirror and took a deep breath. You really think they can straighten out this mess I made of my hair with the knots and tangles into this mass of dreadlocks? Probably. I'd say most definitely. Chapter 66. The ladies entered the area. Destiny had obviously heard part, if not all, of Gram's speech. She wiped a tear and blew out a breath. Destiny, sweetheart, where is this child of our Mandula family? Right this way, Mama Licorice. Destiny stepped behind Ghram to put her arms around him. Love you, BFF. He patted her arm. Right back at you. Hello there, our sweet girls, Ghram and my nephew, handsome man that you is. The older black woman had light Milano complexion and perfectly designed thick pile of wounded woven braids with intricate beadwork throughout her silver-streaked strawberry blonde hair. She now stepped behind Storm. "Sweet child, you gave quite a speech and lecture this morning, and were quite right as my sister-in-law and sister informed them. You took them all by surprise, and you definitely your grandma's grandbaby. You has her tell-it-like-it-is attitude. I remember you as a baby, and now they all knowing you are Grams. Thank God you ain't going to have to deal with the hangman's noose of those Carlsons' background history. Your grandma were never a Carlson, always a Papadopoulos, in all our books. Well, I am proud to say your grandmas, Ranella and Ethel, is always been a blessing in my life, as all my sisters has been. I'm very glad that nasty old bastard ain't your granddaddy, 'cause read," she scrunched her nose, "that boy ain't ever been right in the head, no matter what our queen did, and how she tried to right that ship. I'm Mama, and here I am the den mother for this here joint, and your Aunt Lottie at home. Let me see. Let us look. What you done here, sweetheart? And you, Destiny, you got some splaining to do about that second brawl you all were in. I ain't ever heard of that one." "Hello, Mama." Ghram bit his lip. "Hope I didn't overstep my bounds this morning. I hope they all can forgive me for being such an SOB when it come down to it. It be fine. They all like the truth to be in their faces. And it's not ma'am, it's Mama, sweetie, or to your daddy, Auntie Lottie." She ran her hand over Storm's head with her long dagger-like red nails. "Auntie Lottie, it fits you." She then walked around him to touch the strands. "Thank you, child. You done twisted. Y'all did braid. Ghram, sweetie, this ain't nothing. You give Mama's an hour and a half, and I will have this unknotted and untangled, and we will get it washed and conditioned. Sweetie, while Mama works on your hair, I am going to have our girl, Shauna, bring you over the style book. You look through that, but you tell us what you want." She turned back to the front counter area. "Shauna, sweetheart, you please bring our Storm that young man's style book?" She smiled and gave Ghram a nod. He grinned and looked up at his lady's eyes from the seat after Destiny had trimmed his beard and snipped the ends of his hair. Destiny began to talk about a spring dance at Princeton University that the three of them had attended at the Princeton Students' Cantina. It was a beautiful late April evening. Like the saying says, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. And that leads to April showers bring May flowers. It was a light drizzle. She smiled at Storm. The ladies looked beautiful. Both of them, Ghram stated. "Well, thank you, sweetie." And Dad wasn't so bad himself. But don't get the wrong idea. Lily and I were in the style of jeans that are called distressed, and these thigh-length tunic jackets with spaghetti string straps. I had on a pair of strapless clogs, and Lily, she always wears 4 to 6 inch stiletto spiked heels because she is only 5 foot even. Even when she's driving her Champion vintage heavy scooter. But hers has been converted from a 12-volt to a gas-powered 1200cc Volkswagen air-cooled engine by Uncle Silver and Ricer when the electric motor blew over the first week in school. We found out it had a dead short in the electrical motor. The men basically tore the thing apart and completely renovated it into a monster. All right, schmuck, back to this story. We're out on the dance floor, no drinks. Lily, as she grew up in foster care with several of her siblings. That's her story to tell. She, like Dad and I, don't drink. Soda, iced tea. Lily's drink is seltzer water with a twist of lemon or lime. We'd gone to dinner and then to the dance. That broad, the one Ghram told you about. She stepped to the side and swiveled to dip her head to look at him. Yeah, I heard. Ghram smiled as she stood. Destiny started to do the highlights in Gram's hair. Her name was Belcher, and she is there with 4 or 5 others. We never really got the count on them, but as the dance wound down, we decided we were going to grab a couple of pizzas from All Night Pizza and a couple of 6-packs of cola. Then head back to the apartment and enjoy the pizza with Chet. One thing that we had back then was a 24-hour Save-A-Lot. Dad insisted we stop there and get Jet and us several tins of anchovies. Lily and I adore anchovies on pizza. Jet, of course, well, as a kiddie, they were her delights. She started to do the wrap of paper in Gram's hair. We put the order in for the food and went to the store to sit side by sides with the pizza parlor. So they'd apparently followed us. Only they were also followed by Hef and Pam. When we came out of the all-night pizza, they were waiting. Destiny nodded. Oh, you mean the guys that followed you? Yes. And Hef and Pam were in Hef's truck. Dad has the pizza, 3 of them, and Lily has 3 6-packs of soda in a reusable grocery bag. She also is carrying a large 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola. I've got a plastic bag with a dozen tins of anchovies. They came at us as we got to my truck, and here comes Hef and Pam to back us. We had the Ford because Lily's scooter is built for 1, and Dad's Porsche Boxer S is only a 2-seater. I do not know how Dad got our meal into the bed of the truck without having them destroyed, but he did. That was easy. I tossed them to Hef. Hef played football. He caught them, laid them there, and then decked the guy. But the next thing I know, Storm, is I got this big bastard on me, and he's pounding. I ducked at one point, and he puts his fist through Destiny's driver's window, and I'm able to get my balance and start into the mindset of being in the ring against Uncle Izzy. Ghram shook his head. You know the size of Uncle Izzy. He's bigger than Uncle Silver. In the meantime, I'm facing off with these two bitches. I now won. Destiny shook out her hand with a right as I went off balance on my clogs. I remember winding up on my ass and making a grab for a shoe to sidearm it like I was throwing a Nolan Ryan fastball. Thank you, high school softball team. I was a pitcher on Pensbury's team. It hit the second guy that was coming at Dad. She caught him in the balls and dropped him in mid-step. Lottie smiled. I heard this story many times, and as I remember, Pam didn't do so bad herself with the knee to the one guy's groin, and then when he bent, she dropped him with a second blow of her knee to his face. I will say this one, she do have an arm, an arm, so don't ever get her ticked off. Both Storm and his father winced. Destiny chuckled. Lily has got the reusable grocery bag by the handle, and she's whipping it around over her head. That thing had the 3 six-packs in it. She clobbered one of the guys that charged her in the side of the head. One of those six-packs exploded, and were all showered in sticky-ass soda. The hit threw her off balance, and she staggered. We hear a pop, and she throws the other woman over her shoulder into the tailgate of my truck as she bent to scoop something up. She comes up with the spiked heel that broke off of her shoe and drives it into the other guy's arm as he took a swing at her. This, in the impact, throws her off balance again, and she lands in Hef's arms. He hoisted her up into the back of the truck and takes a shot to his jaw. In the while, I'm barefoot and back up brawling with this blonde bitch, and I got Belcher in a headlock, and I decided to do a wrestling move. I watched old films with my dad, and one of the guys did. I got her in the head, by the head, and I started to run forward to the side of the truck. Ghram smiled. Hef got the hell out of the way as quick as he could when he saw them coming. The first guy got loose of her truck's window as I'm pounding on him and spins just as Destiny peels to one side and slams this bitch's head into the truck's bed rear fender right by the gas cap and lays her out cold. Destiny blew across their knuckles and shined them on her blouse. Dad took out the dude with the left cross, and the bitch Lily dumped gets up as the one she stabbed backed away as he's facing off with Hef. We had sirens blaring and people gathering. They got the two that were laid out up, and their cars and they're scrambling for their cars and took off. You guys didn't get in trouble? Storm looked at them. Destiny shrugged. We stayed to answer the police officers' questions, and they wrote up the report, but both Save-A-Lot and All Night Pizza had parking lot cameras. They turned the footage over to the police, and the tapes confirmed what we had stated. We were soaked with the exploded soda, our pizzas were safe, and I had 2 leaking tins of anchovies in a plastic bag. Dad had busted knuckles that were going to need to be tended. Lily's heel was broken off of the set of thrift store spikes. She's standing barefooted with them slung over her shoulder by the strap, and I had a broken driver's side window on my truck and several new dents and bangs in Bully. Pam is leaning on Heth as her knee is killing her from the job she did on the one guy. Bully, Storm looked at her. That's my F-150's name. My Porsche. My Porsche is Rebecca, and Lily's scooter is Dredge, Ghram explained. But we were free to go, as the officers deemed we had been the victims of a planned assault and were simply defending ourselves. It was listed as pure self-defense. What was cool, though, Save-A-Lot asked to see our receipt. They replaced all of the tins of anchovies and left us keep the remainders of the other. And Max, at All Night Pizza, washed the remainder of the soda cans off that had survived from being so sticky, and packaged another 2 6-packs for us in a plastic bag so Lily could wash the reusable one when we got back to the apartment. He also sold us 2 leftover pizzas that hadn't been picked up at half price for Heth and Pam. We had a hell of a night, and 2 of them are keeping an eye on me because I started to gasp with my airways starting to close. This one grabs my aspirator from the dash and stuffs it in my mouth and pulls the trigger. I'm coughing and sputtering as I'm trying to talk to the officer. Another says, "That's enough. We got the footage. Let these kids loose." I was grateful for that, as your dad was scared shitless, and so was Lily, Heth, and Pam, with me and the asthma attack I was fighting. After a few minutes of me fighting one of my panic attacks, Lily gets me calmed down, and we get her butt planted on the front bumper until she could get her breath. Hef's keeping an eye on her, and as Pam was studying to be a trauma nurse, she's down on her knees in front coaching Destiny as to how to breathe in slowly. Ghram shook his head. Scariest night of my life next to all those years ago. When she did, we needed to check the pizzas. Surprisingly, what had made it through without the disaster happening to them was the pies, although cold. Wait, didn't Max take them back? Yeah, Destiny smiled. Yeah, he took them back in and heated them, and that's when he discovered the 2 pizzas that hadn't been picked up, and he sold them to Heth and Pam at half price. And he took the 2 tins that had been opened and put the fish on 2 of them for us, and made 3 new ones for our order in case the reheated ones weren't the best. Destiny chuckled, and yet they were the best pizzas ever that night. Yes, you're right, babe, Ghram nodded. So we got home, and all 5 of us, we all needed showers. Lily was the worst, as she got sprayed with most of the soda as it exploded when she hit the guy in the head, and Heth was standing a few steps behind her, so he was soaked to the skin with it. But I can tell you this, Jetty enjoyed the oil from the plastic bag of those anchovies. About a week later, Belcher showed up at the student lounge. Ghram said, "Oh, shit, Dad." No, there was no problem. She needed to pick her stuff up from her dorm. Turned out the police found out where she and the rest of them were, and they were charged and convicted by the tape. We never had to testify. They pulled a plea bargain and were given 5 years probation, and she was tossed out on her ear from Princeton. She still shows up now and again, but no bullshit in all these years after the fact. She tapped Ghram on the shoulder. Over that way for us to do this. Ghram stood to follow her. His father was now being seated into the chair across the way to do the streaks and highlights. Shauna, sweetie, you find that book yet, baby? Sure did, Grammy. Shauna was there in a few seconds. Thank you. Welcome. She waved to Ghram, who waved back. 20 minutes later, Mama had the top of his head completely untangled. She placed the hair clip to keep it straight so the curls, like his father's, would not twist and knot. Mama was now at the back of his head. She stepped about 4.5 feet away to continue to de-knot. Blythe, honey, I know you're busy with the sweeping, but when you get the chance with that job done, and it is a good job you be doing, to keep us on our feet and keep us stocked. But, sweetie, with the length of Storm's hair, could you get me another stack of towels, an extra shampoo and conditioner at the wash station? And I'm gonna need about 6 bottles of hot oil treatment, please. I'm on it, Mama. They'll be there when you need them. I'll put the heat pot on and put the oil in it so it's ready when you are. Could I watch you handle his hair, though? 'Cause I've never seen anyone with that length of hair and how it could be washed and properly should be. Storm? That would be fine. Hey, Blythe. Hi, Storm. I know you're under there somewhere. She reached over to lift his bangs and smiled at him. When Mama gets it done, it's going to be gorgeous. Thank you, honey. Storm, you need a soda or something? 'Cause I sure do. I'm okay, Mama. All right, but I need a second to drink, and your daddy is right over there in the reception area with Emily, so we can get another customer, okay? He gave a nod. Chapter 67. Lottie walked over to the counter for Shauna, her 14-year-old granddaughter, to give her a water bottle. Thank you, baby. Destiny, Ghram, Dustin. Sweetie, you too. She jerked her head for them to come over. They walked over as she opened the bottle and took a drink. Aunt Lottie, please tell me he doesn't have bugs in that nest. Ghram shuddered, as did Dustin. The tall blonde with long hair that was teased out like Adam Curry's when he was a VJ on MTV in the 80s, stood looking at her and scrubbed his beard. Please, y'all, don't say that. They are nasty to get rid of. I grew up with that in the schools down in the holler where people didn't take care of their kids, and it weren't always them with very little or nothing. A lot of them holy rollers with money to give my old man didn't take none too good care of themselves, and they could be infested. The young man was from the deep south of Mississippi and that of the Bible Belt. Lottie chuckled and shook her head. Nothing like that, hon. He tried to take real good care of that hair. He's proud of it. I believe he tried, as little as he was when that ass took him. I think he tried to emulate your hair length that he remembered, Ghram, but he was only, what, barely 5? Yeah, about that. Maybe not even. When did you take custody of him? Emily and Silver, you had it last. Am I right? Only last week. I haven't yet. Aunt Em and Uncle Silver still retain it. He nodded to Emily. We're waiting for the results of the test. I'll know by 8 tonight, but it's evident that what he came up with. There's still issues with Reed. He looked at Emily. Oh, I know. And I knows his shit. Seems too many times in that emergency room. Always been bad news with that boy. George wasn't no better. I be telling you true. We will discuss those matters later. Of course, my sister. Just neighborhood noses, I know. Lottie, I can tell you he ain't changed in all these years. Exactly following in George's footsteps. Only it's worse. Bad shit. Police issues. You know what was said this morning when those IDs were made over Ice and his ladies. Mandula is taking custody of the children, and Twink is coming to with her 3 babies. I know about Tootie. Ursula is being Annie. Twinkle is coming to work with Skeeter. Lottie nodded. Yes, and you of all people know what kind of shit he can pull and how bad it can get. Emily placed her hand on Gram's shoulder. That, sadly, is why I have custody of my granddaughter there and her 2 older brothers, twins Ranger and Seal. I have no idea where our Whoopi is, or if Gabe's and my baby girl is even alive, thanks to that bastard. Aunt Lottie, what did you find with Storm? And am I going to be turning Mandula loose on his ass to hunt? Ghram growled. He has got a whole hell of a lot of all kinds of scarring. Some of it is real bad. It looks like it hasn't been dealt with professionally by any doctor or in any emergency care room. More than likely, they didn't want no one to know about it. There's a lot of it that is less than a couple of months old. He still has some scabbing where it's trying to heal itself. Be aware, it's going to be bleeding when he washes his hair. You and your folks need to be close just in case. He could get dizzy spells when his head's forward and he's washing it. I want someone with him so he don't fall and talk hard and long to exhort. There may be concussion issues. I can guarantee you that. Multiples over a close period of time. Tell Dad he needs to use a high stool and the big kitchen sink with the sprayer until further notice. I can almost guarantee that them concussions is going to come back to haunt him like a football player that's been taking too many helmet-to-helmet hits. Only he ain't been given the required NFL 1 week on watch. So you, Chris, and F need to be close, just in case. He'll probably need to wash his hair multiple times. He's got blood matted in them dreadlocks, which is causing them to mat and stick together. He tried to keep it clean. He done been hit and slammed quite a few times, like you were when I nosed you back. That arm of his just ain't the beginning. God's willing it will be the last. You, Silver, and your mama, and especially your daddy, and our family will be making sure of this. I know this because my mama and daddy will be watching over him, so will my grandparents. She took another drink and set the bottle on the counter. Put that in the fridge, sweetie. It ain't cold enough for me. She pushed it to Shauna. Yes, Grammy Ma. And Storm's hair is going to be incredible. For Kimmy's sake, please don't let him have it cut too short. She turned. Lottie looked at Ghram. He do have a following already, just like you did and your daddy. God's help me, Ghram laughed. At least these girls know he's spoken for with Kimmy. She started back to Storm. Within 30 minutes, she had everything untangled. Child, you got beautiful hair like your daddy. She brushed it out of his face to sweep it back over his head. Thank you. I tried, but Kathy wasn't always there to help and read. He shook his head. Sure, I understand. Now we're going to wash this real well. I'm going to do it 2, probably 3 times, and we're going to massage your scalp and use the hot oil treatment we need to condition this. Have you picked out an idea of what you want done with these gorgeous locks of yours? She leaned in to whisper, I tell you true, Shauna doesn't want it cut, but she's very good friends with Kimmy. So I have an inside scoop. She winked into the mirror. He chuckled. I'd like to keep the length like Dad's. Maybe lighten it a little and get some streaks. You mean highlights like his? Yes, Mama. I got an idea. You don't want to lighten this. She ran her fingers through the waves and tresses. How about we do highlights, light brown like Dad's color, because you have the natural in the beautiful Greek mahogany, and some streaks of blonde. Not many folks have been blessed with that naturally, but we do some golden ash brown like Dad's natural color, and then we spice it with some frosted tips, kind of like Guy Frey. Make it stand out. Have it pop. You think that would look cool? Child, you had them girls my Shauna been telling me about at school be fighting over you just to run their fingers through those locks of yours, and she, Blythe, and the rest of Kimmy's sisters be backing her to beat them girls away from you with a stick. Let's do it, please, but let Shauna and Blythe know to tell Kimmy. She's the only girl I'm interested in having her run her beautiful fingers through my hair. I will pass that along, sweetie. You take him. You was a ladies' man like your handsome daddy and his daddy before him, and they has always been and are true gentlemen to my girls here at Destiny's. And can I tell you something true? Our wonderful makeup man, Dustin, he's like your daddy and our Reuben was. He was scared of what folks would think about him when he first came to town. He does makeup for the bridal parties, proms, formal affairs, all that kind of stuff. He's wonderful in his artistry. And his feelings were torn to shreds along with his faith in his beliefs because of what he faced from his own family and the small South Mississippi town where he was raised, and a nasty, nasty preacher man who had never heard Jesus say, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, and who hadn't learned the golden rule of treat others as you would have them treat you. He butchered that poor child's heart and world. Your daddy intervened. He invited him to lunch with himself, Edward, and Jonathan to explain New Hope, and that they would be good to him. Dustin been with us 8 years now. He attends church with Father John at the Inn's Worship Center, and he feels at home here. He fell in love with an incredible artist, and they become partners for 5 years now. Jai is a sculptor. They are settled here all because your daddy opened his heart because he cares about everyone. Now follow me, gorgeous. He slid out of the seat to lean on his walker and walked next to her. They stepped into the shampoo station for him to take a seat, and Lottie set aside his walker. "Blythe, sweetie, come see how I'm doing this." The teen came over. "Thank you, Storm. I hope to be as good a hairstylist as Mama and Destiny, and one of the ways to learn is to watch one of the best." "You're welcome." He leaned back as Lottie lifted his hair into the sink. Storm smiled. He was learning more and more about his dad. A half hour later, 3 washes, an oil treatment, and 2 conditions, one each that Blythe did so Mama could show her how to handle that type of length of hair. Mama now massaged his scalp. Mama Licorice, Lottie Springfield Applegate, was also feeling for any damage she could identify as she would forward it to the family and to Azard and Rasha Farr and make Samuel Moon and Cindy Moon aware of it. Before she retired to raise her grandsons, Ranger Seal and her granddaughter Shauna, who was dumped on her doorstep and became the den mother to Destiny's spa to help out with the knowledge she had from her own hairstyling hobby. She was a registered pediatric nurse specializing in child abuse and trauma. She'd now found in her examination of Storm several things she didn't like. There were old injuries and more than likely had, as she told Ghram and Emily, never been treated. Storm was left with at least 2 fractures as she went through the wet hair and could see several healed scars that should have been stitched. One like a knife wound that had possibly penetrated the skull, if not deep into the cranium. The child was lucky to be alive. Another seemed to be much older and had healed over, but looked to her like it had been like he had been grazed just above the right ear by a small caliber bullet. She wrapped several of the towels around his head and helped him to the walker, and they went to her station. Lottie trimmed the dead ends and stepped in front of him. "What do we do with these bangs? Because, sweetie, you are a handsome young man like your daddy. That girl of yours, Kimmy, she's going to be wanting to see those beautiful green eyes and the chiseled good looks. You done been hiding them too damn long, way too long. Can we cut them long so I can wear them in a ponytail, but yet keep the sides long?" Back in my day, that would have been Lars Ulrich style. My husband Gabriel liked Metallica. That's who their drummer was. I do like that style from the mid-'80s. I do so like that idea. I surely do. She started trimming. Then came the highlights. An hour later, she rinsed it out and trimmed the hair into layers. Then did the front, the frost to the tips. When she finished, she brushed through it and pulled the bangs back like he requested into a ponytail halfway down the back of his head, while the rest of it fell in layers. "Now, I'm going to teach you about your beard. It's just starting. You have peach fuzz. Your daddy started out slow, too. He was 18 when he grew into the full beard, thanks to his BFF. You, however, are too young for a beard, but you have Daddy bring you in here once a week, and I will trim. Young man like you? Fine looking? If I was 30 years younger, she winked. You need a little something, something. Can I do my artist work? Storm smiled. Whatever you want, Mama. 20 minutes later, she spun him to look in the mirror. Holy! Chapter 68. Storm stared at the young man in the mirror. He had a dark soul patch with a thin natural streak of golden ash brown in the center of the blonde highlights. He didn't recognize the young man in the mirror. Storm definitely wasn't the boy who left Philadelphia on the 3rd week of September. He looked at Mama and then into the mirror. Is that really me? Yes, sir. I discovered you got natural highlights you didn't know you had. You're as handsome as your daddy. Now, I'm going to throw in the shampoo and conditioner we used. There's going to be a couple of bottles of hot oil treatment, too. Dad uses the same so he knows what to buy, and we're getting you the brushes and combs you need to maintain this. You get a knot, you don't rip it out. If Dad or someone can't get it out, you come into me. Yes, Auntie Lottie. Can I ask something? Sure, anything, sweetheart. How long is my hair? He bit his lip. You stand up straight and tall, and I'll place my comb at the bottom. Now, you go to sleep. This length needs to be banded, or have Dad properly braid it. Emily knows how to braid as well. She's been doing it on her own since she was 5. We'll include the bands as well. No rubber bands. Her eyes glistened. Every 6 inches, or you are going to wind up with a rat's nest, and we do not want that. You knew Mom Emily since she was 5? Sweetheart, I knew all of Mandela all my life. My twin brother Jack and I. We've been part of it since before we were born. Our mama was chief housekeeper for the inn before your daddy took over so she could retire. She was the one who talked him into taking the position. Our daddy still does the lawn and garden care when his body lets him. He's the landscaper and farmer by trade and heritage, and he thoroughly enjoys working with your Uncle LeBou's family. He's looking forward to teaching Tootie. His mama was chef who helped to teach Chris. That be Grammy Sadie. And his daddy, my granddaddy, Jonah, and before him, Hal. Springfield men been the gardeners for the inn for over 200 plus years. The first was an escaped slave from President George Washington's wife, Martha, her slave group, when they moved to Philadelphia, when it was the first capital in December of 1790. Several of the slaves of hers escaped. His name was Benson. He made his way up here, and the Papadopoulos brought his freedom. Then, in a hard-fought argument, I'd have to have Effie and Grammy pull the old books, but they not only did the purchase of his wife, Akka, and children, they also did the purchase from Thomas Jefferson of the Boots family, Benjamin and Viola, and their children when Jefferson was president. They are my Grammy Sadie's people. There be some intermarriage between the two families, but not like you hear about in certain religions. enough members of the two and other families to keep the bloodline straight. They are all laid to rest in the family cemetery. Our family was gifted a piece of the property, 10 acres inside their property to keep our folks safe from any slave hunters, and a proper cottage house there too. It's our family home. Mama and Daddy still live there in the whitewashed cottage with the light blue trim. Jack and I were raised there. Mammy and Papa, they in the rich blue and yellow trim. Only they've been built on many times to accommodate the growing needs, and they settled as free folks to work for the family, generation after generation. Then, as teens, Daddy fell in love with a young lady whose folks fled Poland after surviving Hitler's Holocaust. She loved him too. Both families were scared for them, but they married anyway in 1959 at the age of 16. She called herself a Checker and was proud of it. And here I and Jackson be. We were born in 1961. She's Bocce Anarchy, and he's Papa Sidney Springfield? Yes, they are. He served with your great-granddaddy and Uncle Cordero in the Green Berets, with Old Man Calhoun and Colonel Bloomington in Vietnam. Proud to be able to call him my daddy, and Mama was best friends with Aunt Shelley and Yaya Poppy. They all went to school together. Wow, so were you a cheerleader too? He slid from the chair, and his hair just seemed to, like it kept coming. When he stood up straight to his full height of 5'7", she placed a comb at the bottom of his locks, and it was 3 inches above the back of his ankles. Lottie stood up and smiled at him. Without my belly, I could probably still do the aerial backflip like I used to do when Julie and Damien would toss me and Reuben would spot my landing right in front of our pyramid. Then your grandma would do her cartwheel off the top and land in Peggy and Gilly's arms, and we'd start the cha-cha to the front, and we'd shake our booties into ground flips and land in our splits to be sitting on the ground. On cold nights in them outfits, ooh-wee! We were glad Liliana and Coco Chanel had the propane heater, and she always somehow had a big old cooler filled with hot chocolate and cinnamon. One night, though, you get a chance. You ask your Grammy and Mama Emily out there about the brawl we lionesses had with them damn Redhawks. Your Auntie Sonny still has several scars from that brawl, and I dislocated 2 toes and broke part of my foot when I landed wrong, and your Uncle Reuben kept me upright from backing up to land on my tushy. Cool, he nodded. Aunt Lottie, am I going to trip over the length of this thing? He laughed. I don't think so, but let's put the bands in it, okay? Yes, ma'am. She lifted the trusses as he sat, and she began to loosely band it. Let's go show Dad. She helped him to his feet for him to take his walker, and they left for the waiting lounge. Stay right here. This is our revealing curtain. She stopped and pulled the curtain so he was behind it. Then stepped through. Dad, Mom Emily, I am honored to present your Storm. She slid the curtain back and he pushed the walker forward to step through. Holy shit! Oh my gods! Ghram was on his feet. We need to take you clothes shopping. That stuff you own ain't gonna cut it. Destiny! Look at the length of his hair, Emily whispered. It's longer than Silver's, and oh my word, it's beautiful. Wait until the men see you. Uncle Silver? Oh yeah, and Grandpa is going to freak. He's going to look in the mirror and see himself in you. He's the spitting image of photos of Dad I've seen at 15, but his hair is Papu Theo's. The dark color in the old color photos from Vietnam. Ghram walked around him. Incredible! He put his arms around Storm. Dad, how did I get my name? Ghram was quiet for several moments. He stepped back. I don't know. We'll have to ask if anyone knows. Aunt Em? Emily shook her head. I don't know, to be honest. Lottie, do you got a clue? Mama Licorice shook her head. Not a one. He was named that when Ranella and Yaya brought him to the hospital straight from Doylestown. It was on his birth certificate that she presented. Destiny came around the counter from her office. Well, look at yous. Get down with your handsome selves. Daddy, looking at this son of yours, you done good, Dad. He is as handsome as you are. She handed him a bag. You know the deal. It's the same as yours. He runs low, you show. He certainly looks good, Mama Licorice. He's going to turn the girls' heads. Dustin gave a thumbs up. Thank you all, Storm blushed. Yes, girlfriend. Ghram kissed Destiny on the cheek. We need to do some serious shopping. You'd know what he'd look good in. After work, Donnie and Kiwi's? I'll meet you at Vintage always. She smiled. Ready to show your new self to your grandparents? Oh, yeah. Ghram leaned down to kiss Destiny's lips. This time, he put his forehead to hers. Thank you. She put her palm to his bearded jaw. You're both welcome. They headed out the door to get into the car and drive to the B&B. And that is where we will end this story. We need to see what Storm's grandparents think of his new look. And what will Ghram and Destiny be up to when it comes to revamping Storm's wardrobe? And in doing so, where is Reed still lurking at? Is he in town? Is he elsewhere? Is he hiding? We don't seem to know as of yet. So, if you've liked this story, hit like, ring the bell. That way you will be notified when a new one is dropped. Thank you, and have a good day.